10,000 years.
Walt Disney, Bruce Springsteen, William Shakespeare.
To be or not to be.
The local news.
So Attorney General Eric Schmidt is now warning all of us.
Your crazy Uncle Jack. They all have something in common. They're all storytellers. Whether we're watching, listening, or reading, we're given information that can make us laugh, reflect on life, cry, scream.
Don't look at it! Ah!
And even bond with our fellow man. Of all of the storytellers, there is one that has a very unique audience.
I'm just so glad I'm not a magician. Have you taken a moment today to be grateful that you're not a magician? There's so much pressure. Comedy audiences come out to have a good time. Magic is the only kind of entertainment where 90% of the crowd is trying to ruin it for themselves. Go to a magic show, just a sea of closed-minded, threatened dudes just like, nope, no way, that ain't possible. Mirror, some sort of mirror, you ain't sawing her in half.
In the world of a magician, you work towards one goal.
I go by Sean Paul the Illusionist, but my birth name is Sean Paul Nemec, and yes, I said Nemec, and there's a reason why I don't use that on marquees and on business cards, because it's just a tragic. Nemec means low blood cell count. It means you're very sickly and feeble, and I don't need some kind of critic saying, his show is much like his last name, you know, and so I've never used that.
What do you say? Have I made you into a believer?
I've been doing magic since I was 8 years old, so that means I have been doing magic for a long time, and originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. I got hired to do a show at Valley Fair Amusement Park in Minnesota, and I put an ad in the paper. She went right to the performing arts section, and there was an ad that says, magician looking for a lovely assistant that looks like a Barbie doll, has dance experience, and doesn't mind getting cut in half. And I remember when I placed the ad, I made the guy's day, because he's used to like putting ads on there for washers and dryers and old cars and whatnot, and this was hilarious to him. And so she answered the ad and fit the bill and did bigger shows in bigger places, and traveled the world together, eventually got married and adopted a monkey.
Typical path.
Yeah, nothing really new here. Business as usual.
Yes, but you were a fantastic subject. You really were.
I don't know, I think I was always looking for some dance gig, but magician's assistant really kind of stood out. And I remember watching the shows on TV and as a girl, a young girl, and thinking, a little girl, and thinking, where do they go? How do they float? I thought, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out.
Magic to me is a tool and a platform that we use to transport people to another place or to enlighten them to a theme or an idea or a concept or a storyline. And I mean, I spent the first 25 years of my magical career kind of going, is this your card? You know, one of those things. I throw that aside now because that's really not the point.
And what I want you to do is just whatever gut feeling you get. If you think they're red or black,
okay, so red and black,
them out
okay.
as quickly as you can. My name's Cody Lowry, and I guess you could say for my day job, I'm a police officer in the area. I've been kind of performing magic for most all of my life that I remember, and took a break for that to kind of enter the law enforcement field. And now I'm getting back out and performing and really trying to perfect my craft as a magician. So, you know, if you ask someone if they know a card trick, chances are they're going to show you the 21 card trick. They're going to put cards in 3 piles, and then they're going to stack them up and do it again, and you tell me which pile the card's in, and eventually it's going to be showing the correct, you know, this is your card. If I just go through those motions, that's not, to me, that's not really entertaining. Now, if I had some story about how this was some ritual that, I don't know, ancient wise men would perform this in order to convince people that they had magical powers and they would go through this ritual, and I build a story around this whole idea, that's a lot more entertaining. So just knowing the method of putting the cards in the pile and then resorting them and all of that, there's nothing, I mean, anybody can learn that. But it takes someone who really wants to put in the time and effort into building a story and a presentation out of it. So I think that's a big thing that people don't realize what all goes in.
Right? Brett?
Yeah, I say that a lot of the storylines in our show are based on real facts, I mean, not all one story, but maybe facts from different stories. We kind of pull them together and create a riveting storyline, would you say?
Yeah, but when I talk about James Esdale, who was a Scottish surgeon who went to a prison in Burma and was treating somebody, removing their appendix, and he put them under in hypnosis to manage their pain. As far as I know, that's a real story, you know?
Right. You're talking about the heart stopper?
Yes, and yes. And then how it's used traditionally now to get people to slow down their heart rate if they're going to get cut wide open for a procedure. I mean, all that's based on the research that I've done to set up that piece.
All right, Nurse Carol, you're going to be here, bedside, all right? And I want you to be monitoring my pulse, all right? So go ahead and get my pulse again, and then I want you to tap the bell for every beat of my heart. If it accelerates, stay with it beat for beat. If it slows down, stay with it. Just match it. Because you're here as a monitor and to let them know what I'm experiencing. Otherwise, they know nothing. Okay? And you're a professional, right? Go ahead. Just give us a little sample. How many beats per minute is that? Real quick. 80, is that okay? Go ahead. Let's try it. I'm going to go into trance. Ring it as loud as you can so they know what's going on. Did it work? And if it worked, it won't. It stopped, and you couldn't feel anything. But you can feel something now. Okay. But I'm alive now, and you know what? You can feel something. I can feel something. Carol, will you pull the jaws open for me, please? Gently, just pull them apart.
Either one of those effects that I'm doing, whether it's stopping the heart or doing the trap on my hand, either one of them is kind of interesting, but it's not a thrill. But we put the two together in a storyline and a setup that makes sense. And I always believe if your why is strong enough, people won't get so hung up on how did you do that.